Support WrestleTalk!
Big E wins the men's Money in the Bank. Nikki ASH wins the women's Money in the Bank. And what but a do? John Cena is back in WWE. I am Luca, and please subscribe to this channel for daily wrestling news content because I'm recording this in my spare room at 5:30 a.m. and I'm trying not to wake my wife up. So perhaps the sub increase might ease the pain of me disturbing her sleep. And also because I am your Jam in the Jar ladder match winner. I'm gonna jam it in on Shopper Pete so hard when he least expects it. This is my review of WWE Money in the Bank 2021. Fans are back, yay! The pandemic era of WWE has made us forget that pre-show matches can be a lot of fun. Remember New Day versus the Usos from SummerSlam that one year? We've sort of gotten used to pointless matches that mean nothing and are just there to fill time. But now that fans are back, that's all changing, because the Usos and the Mysterios had a really good match, with Jimmy and Jay winning the tag straps. Oddly, the Mysterios came into this match via a Stargate, and that somehow made them cosplay as Slapjack. But really that wasn't enough for them to stop an amazing spot, with Jimmy taking the 619 bullet for Jay, then assisting the pin to get the win. It made sense to change the titles here. Not only does it play into the larger story of the bloodline, but it's the first pay-per-view match in front of fans since WrestleMania, and you want to give them that big pop that's going to carry them through the night. And it really worked well for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match as well, which featured Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Tamina, Zelina Vega, Naomi, Asuka, and Nikki ASH. And it featured a lot of fun spots to watch, like Naomi powerbombing Liv Morgan onto Zelina Vega, who was on a ladder. Unionize that! And it featured tough spots to watch, like watching Tamina not be remotely credible in the role she's been given. You know, it didn't help that Tamina's spot was rumored to be Sonya Deville and Becky Lynch, but man, her inability was highlighted by everyone else in the match being so much better. Alexa Bliss's spooky nonsense got a mixed response from the crowd. They really enjoyed her wrestling, but didn't quite get as much into her magical mumbo jumbo, like trying to make the briefcase fall into her hands using telepathy, or mind controlling Zelina Vega to get off the ladder, which also meant that Bliss got down off the ladder as well. What were you trying to accomplish there? But this was a forgiving crowd. Of course it was the first one back in ages. So even when spots didn't go to plan, like Liv Morgan and Natalya just falling down, they never chanted "you effed up" or anything like that, which made Nikki ASH getting the win feel so special when she unhooked the briefcase.
Briefcase wanker.
As a baggage-themed insult? Thanks, Mum. Thanks a bunch.
AJ and Omos retaining their Raw Tag Team Championships against the Viking Raiders went a lot longer than I think most people would have expected, but followed a formula that we definitely have come to expect. The Viking Raiders ragdolled AJ around the ring, then Omos got in and was really tall. There was an incredible spot where Omos tossed AJ Styles over the ropes into a Hurricane Runner on the floor, and there was a really good near fall off the Viking Experience, which genuinely felt like the finish. In the end though, the big guy got in, hit a big move for the big win. Omos is big and is clearly limited, but bloody hell AJ Styles hides that well. But what came next, the next two matches in fact, will be the most divisive things on the show. The build to Kofi Kingston versus Bobby Lashley has been a tale of two halves. The first bit, where it was a clash of ideals, friendship versus power, family versus wealth, and that worked really well. It did get slightly muddled when Lashley started losing most of his matches, even getting pinned the week before the pay-per-view, but had a tremendous closing promo of Lashley getting serious. It raised a lot of questions as to what that could mean for Kofi in this title match, especially with the shadow of Big E being a strong contender to win Money in the Bank. Many also saw this as WWE's way of apologizing for the 7-second squash match on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox. And well, you know, we didn't get a 7-second squash match, We just got a 455-second one instead. Lashley threw Kofi around. He then threw him around some more. He then threw him around a bit more after that. We kind of speculated on our livestream reaction that they were going the Brock Lesnar Daniel Bryan Survivor Series route, where Kofi Kingston would get a flurry of a comeback and get an amazing near fall before Lashley wins. But instead, Lashley just slammed Kofi around a bit more and then tapped him out in the Hurt Lock in 7.5 minutes. This wasn't a great night for Kofi, and it sure didn't make him look like a credible threat for future WWE Championship matches. But it made Lashley look amazing, and that's kind of the point. When you consider the new rumor is Goldberg coming back tonight, it makes all the sense in the world to make Lashley look as incredible as possible for when he faces the brick wall that is Goldberg at SummerSlam. It's one of those things where I don't really like it, but I get why they did it. And really, the same can be said for Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, who faced a steep uphill climb to get this once forgiving crowd back on their side. You see, this feud has been the wettest of farts. Consistently the worst thing on Raw and a real stain on the underpants of the women's division as a whole. Rather than build on their pre-existing history going back to WrestleMania last year, it's based on who can be the most unlikable tool. And in the end, the answer was both of them. And so it was unsurprising then that this crowd crapped over this match at the start and chanted for Becky Lynch to come out instead. Here's the thing though, none of the bad booking and terrible character work is the fault of Ripley or Flair. It's the fault of the writing and the bookers. So when it's just put into the hands of the wrestlers to tell a story and get their characters over, it works like a dream. And these two had a banging match. Outside of the men's ladder match, this was match of the night. Comfortably so. And the longer it went, the more the crowd got into it. What started as "We want Becky" chants slowly became a low "This is awesome" chant, which by the end was a thunderous "This is awesome" chant. And to the dismay of YouTube comments everywhere, Flair locked in the figure 8 to win the Women's Championship for the 12th time. But with the new rumor that Becky Lynch is coming back, which she trolled about on social media, Flair versus Becky for the title at SummerSlam is a bigger match than Charlotte versus Rhea 3 or Rhea versus anyone else on the Raw roster. I just feel bad for Rhea, who's had potentially one of the worst main roster call-ups of all time. But her losing the title here might be the best thing for her in the long run. Also, shout out to Charlotte Flair, who got the feed cut out a little bit because she flipped off the crowd to get some heat. At least that one was a choice by WWE to cut the feed and not Peacock being Peacock and peacocking up the feud just before the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Not that we can talk, our internet also cut out a bit before that match as well. Thankfully, it all came back on for one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches I've ever seen. I think as fans we've become a bit jaded on the Money in the Bank ladder match. There hasn't been a great cash-in since Seth Rollins at Mania 31, which honestly feels like 100 years ago. And the matches have been various levels of Monster in the Bank boring, Brock Lesnar winning a match he wasn't in levels of silly, or last year's Cluster Pluck levels of stupidity. But this show felt like the reset the gimmick needed. Nikki ASH winning earlier in the night was a breath of fresh air in a terribly stale women's division on both brands. And the lineup for this men's Money in the Bank match, oh boy, it's one of the best we've ever had. So it should come to no surprise that this match absolutely ruled. Ricochet did flips, Kevin Owens took horrible looking bumps, Drew McIntyre did a double claymore, we got a drippy partnership of John Morrison and Seth Rollins. Not everyone got their chance to shine. It was surprising how little Matt Riddle did in this match, but the most important guy they wanted to shine shone like the brightest of shiny stars. After hitting the big ending off the ladder, ow, Big E became Mr. Money in the Bank by unhooking the briefcase.
Oh, briefcase?
Yeah, briefcase.
Yes, it's a briefcase.
Oh, briefcase!
It opens up a lot of possibilities. Big E could go after Roman Reigns, although he feels a bit tied up at the moment, or he could go over to Raw and avenge the beating his friend Kofi Kingston took earlier in the night and cash in on Bobbles Lashley. Both are really good options, and our Ultra Chat on last night's livestream reactions were flooded with people fantasy booking potential possibilities, like cashing it in just before the Goldberg-Lashley match to make it a triple threat, which would not only be a cool moment, though a strategic error, it would also save the crowd from watching Goldberg versus Lashley, which is bound to suck. And speaking of Roman Reigns, he beat Edge in a really good match that followed the usual Roman pattern. Slow start, mouth off a bit, slow the pace down, mouth off a bit, have a rest hold, mouth off a bit, go into shenanigans for the final 10 minutes, then do the finish, boop-a-doop-a-doop-doop, boop. Look, I get that a lot of people don't like the new Slowman Reigns matches, and this one felt every bit of the 33 minutes it ran for, but man, I really like these matches. The ref bump was totally lame, but it did make for a good near fall. The Mysterios stopped the Usos from interfering, which allowed Seth Rollins instead to attack Edge and help Roman retain. At one point, someone in the crowd chanted, "You can't wrestle it, Roman." That person was wrong. Roman is terrific in this role, as is Edge, and him versus Seth has a lot of potential for SummerSlam. They brawled into the crowd as Roman cut a promo, only to be interrupted by What-a-do, Vin Diesel's brother, with a haircut that makes him look like English naturist Chris Packham. I suppose Spring Watch is over at the moment. Now, there is an argument to be made that many of the top matches that we've talked about in this video for SummerSlam feature people who haven't been there during the pandemic era, carrying this company on their back and trying to entertain us during this dark timeline. Goldberg, Becky, Cena, even Edge to a degree. I think it says a lot about this company that when the chips are down, they're not confident in their current crop of stars to sell tickets, and that's a real shame. Having said that, bloody hell, did you hear the pop that John Cena got? Smagging hell. WWE always wanted him to have that Austin pop, and he sure as balls got it here. And it was certainly a newsworthy end to a newsworthy show, and John Cena tonight is going to kick off Raw. And what a show Money in the Bank was. Every match delivered. Both tag matches, both Money in the Bank ladder matches, the Universal title match, Rhea versus Charlotte, they all ruled. Kofi versus Lashley might be the only blot on this resume, but I think this might be one of those examples where we should let it play out before we judge it too harshly. And I'll say it again, I think the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is going to go down as one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches we've ever had. I had a great time with this show, and it looked like the fans in attendance had a wonderful time also. For me, yeah, it was a 5 out of 5 show.
Oh, don't do the big ending from the top, just win it.
Loch Ness
No.
Monster.
It's happening. It's happening.
It's happening.
Yep. Oh, you're getting beat.
God!
Big end.
Hot dog.
Climb it.
Jumping
Go
dog.
get it. Go get it, big head. Christmas Day.
Go for it! Go
Do
for
it!
Go
Get
for
it!
Go
Do
for
it! Go!
Do it!
Go on, Beige. I don't care that you're not my pick.
Come on.
Get it! Get it!
Is that a spoiler? You got it.